That looks good. Welcome to the very first edition of Vention Demo Day. This is a super important milestone for us, and we're quite excited to share it with you. Over the next few minutes, we'll drive you through all the hardware and software products we've released throughout the years, and obviously, we've kept all of the best surprises for today. For those that have been following us over the years, Vention just turned 4 last summer, and we feel so privileged to have helped over 1,000 factories deploying blue Vention machine, as we like to call them. There's now a machine in Canada, US, Mexico, Germany, France, Australia, and even India. Needless to say that this makes us quite proud. Over those 4 years, our mission has remained the same, to democratize industrial automation. In fact, we strive to provide a user experience that is so simple that our user and client feels confident to navigate their automation project by themselves. And I have to admit, this is probably the most rewarding part of the journey so far, to see folks like Steven at Foothill or Louis at BMW becoming automation expert as they navigate their first, second, and third Vention automated equipment by themselves. You know, to see what you guys have accomplished in your own factory makes us extremely proud. But luckily, we weren't alone. We had the chance to work with outstanding partners throughout the adventure, such as Universal Robots, Dorner Conveyor, ATS Automation, Tulips Interface, Mecademic, Kinova, and so many others. All partners, just like Vention, that believe in that thesis of democratization. And as you know, this led to the release of the Vention Partner Network earlier this year. It's very obvious to us that we're entering a new era of industrial automation. And with a new era, we need a new category of software. We call it MAP, Manufacturing Automation Platform, a digital environment where our users can select component, design in 3D, simulate and automate their machine, order their part kit, and obviously deploy, most of which takes place in the comfort of their web browser. Today, for the very first edition of Vention Demo Day, we will drive you through each phases of MAP, the design phase, the automate phase, the order phase, and the deploy phase. And we'll be covering all the product feature available to you to make your next project a success. But enough said, let's get going, and let's welcome Bree Hartgrave, our VP Product at Vention.
Yeah. Let me try. Yes, yeah, that's better, for sure. Oh,
Look very serious. Here at Vention, it's our mission to democratize industrial automation, all the way from conception through to deployment. To do that, we have an extensive product roadmap of things that we'd like to get done, and we've organized those around the 4 pillars of MAP. The first pillar is design. This is where we strive to provide an intuitive and easy-to-use design environment that is custom-made for industrial automation projects. Next up, automation, where using our code-free environment, you can simulate and validate your machine functionalities, and of course, operate them once deployed. Next up, procurement, where we strive to provide a transparent process from design all the way through to quoting and checkout. And last but not least, deployment, where tools like the user forum, automated assembly drawings, and the CSI network make that last step just a little bit easier. Let's dive into some of the product features that we've released this year in each of the pillars, starting with design. First up, one of our flagship releases this year was Machine Scope. This is an area for teams to come together and design their machine requirements, where you can clarify things like end-to-end spec and your acceptance criteria. The goal of Machine Scope is to eliminate those gray zones that are inherent in any industrial automation project. It's available fully integrated into the Vention stack, and you can have access as a collaborator throughout your design process. The next 3 features are all related to the machine builder and making sure that it's easy to use. We've crafted each of these with collaboration from our application engineering team, who spend hours and hours in the machine builder and have delivered thousands of projects. First is the Machine Builder Instructor. Whether you're new to Machine Builder and just getting started, or you'd like to become a super user, the Machine Builder Instructor is there for you. Click on any feature, function, or shortcut, and you'll have a step-by-step explanation of how to use that exact tool. Next up, the Configuration Engine. This is for some of those components that are a little bit trickier to put together, where you have a lot of customization. Things like linear actuators, pneumatics, and conveyors. Once you click on an initial part, the configuration engine will bring up the rest of the decisions that you need to make as you go through configuring your, for example, linear axis. If you don't need so much customization, you can always click autocomplete and the machine builder will do it for you. And last but not least, design checker. We like to think of this here at Vention as the spell check for machine design. It's something that's been on our roadmap for a really long time, and I'm excited to see the first iteration go out this year. All you have to do is click to run the design checker, and the machine builder will take a look at your design for things like mating and connections, or maybe a plate or gusset that's missing somewhere. If everything is in order, you'll see a green check mark, but if it's not, you'll get step-by-step instructions on how to solve those issues before you move forward. Part of keeping Vention a flexible platform is allowing you to bring in your own parts and machines as you work on your project. To make that even easier, this year we launched My Parts Manager. Now, in addition to being able to bring your own parts into the design environment, you'll be able to manage them through the Parts Manager in your dashboard. You can edit properties, write notes, and even add custom connectors that behave exactly the same way as the Vention connectors do. That means when you pick up your part in the machine builder, you're able to snap and connect exactly the same as you do with your Vention components. All of your parts are available to keep for yourself, but like with anything with Vention, you can add collaborators if you'd like to. Now I know we're at the automation section of our MAP pillars, but we're going to save that for a little bit later with my colleague Patrick. For now, let's move on to procurement. We've seen our community grow in Europe over the last few years, and we were excited to make our first investment into this group this year. Initially, we took a look at the website and made sure that everything was available in the local currency, from browsing to designing, and of course, through quoting and checkout. The second investment that we've made for our European community was to take a look at our logistics and bring those up to the level of speed and cost effectiveness that we have here in North America. This is just the beginning of our investment into our European community. Another flagship release from this year was our partner network. It was really exciting to bring some of our trusted partners into the Vention platform officially. Partners like Universal Robots, Dorner, ATS, and so many more are now available throughout the Vention ecosystem. This allows our partners to benefit from our growing community of engineers and lets those engineers benefit from having our partners' parts readily available. And of course, our customer success and application engineering teams are ready to support you when you use them in your projects. And my last announcement for the day, and one that's been on the roadmap for a long time here at Vention, is the Community Forum. This, we want to be the go-to place to tap into the growing knowledge of the Vention community. Of course, our own partners, our application engineers, and our customer success team are active on the forum, so we want you to come here with any question you have, whether you're considering an automation project or you're at that final step of deployment and just need to ask one more thing. The community is there for you. And now, without further delay, I'm going to pass you on to my colleague, Patrick Tawaji, our applications manager, to share some exciting news in automation.
It's been sanitized.
I'm reassured. Thanks. When A10 asked me to be the speaker for this upcoming announcement, I immediately said yes. Through my role at Vention, I've worked directly with hundreds of clients who have designed and deployed automated equipment. Over the years, I've become intimately aware of the challenges posed by traditional industrial automation technologies, from the complexity of learning those intricate systems to the often prohibitive cost nature of them. This next product has been core to Vention since day one. It's our way to empower a new class of industrial automation and control specialists in factories all across the globe. Without further ado, I'm extremely proud to announce the release of Machine Motion V2. It's not only the simplest, but also the fastest way to deploy automated equipment on any factory floor. With its sleek new design and building on the learnings from the last 4 years with our previous generation, Machine Motion V2 is all about ruggedness and ease of use, while integrating significantly more functionalities. It's amazing to see how this product has evolved over my 2+ years at Vention. As we've just seen, Machine Motion is the centerpiece of the evolution of Vention's industrial automation capabilities, and it comes with a full ecosystem of plug-and-play components. Things like actuators, pneumatics, digital and analog I/O modules, push buttons, light curtains, and a teach pendant. I'm really looking forward to the new use cases the Vention community will come up with. While our next generation Machine Motion is a beautiful piece of hardware, what really makes it special is its software ecosystem. We have a ton more surprises to share with you today, so let me welcome my colleague Audrey, one of our rockstar firmware developers, on stage for the next phase of Demo Day.
I'll stab you here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is really fun.
All right.
With one of the easiest to use motion controllers, we wanted to create one of the easiest industrial automation programming software. Today, we are extremely proud to introduce Machine Logic V2 in its cloud and edge declinations, which means you can access Machine Logic directly within the Machine Builder or run it locally on your Machine Motion controller. From the get-go, Machine Logic had to be code-free, while still providing some of the same capabilities as a full-fledged development environment. Machine Logic also had to provide seamless transition between cloud programming and shop floor operation. Finally, Machine Logic had to keep being simple enough to be used by any manufacturing professional, or even my grandmother. So, to make this next product launch quite interesting and a bit more interactive, let me drive you through the example of my pick-and-place machine. So, as you can see here in the Machine Builder, my machine has been fully designed and it is now ready to be programmed. So, I can simply open Machine Logic by clicking on this icon on the side. The first thing I need to do is to configure my application by adding the various actuators of my design. As you can see, when selecting the actuator type, I will inherit all the actuator and sensor options available within my design. In a similar fashion, I can also configure inputs and outputs to my system. So here, I will add a through-beam sensor, as well as a custom input and output for a vision system I have in my machine. So, with all of that properly configured, let's move on and create a very simple pick-and-place application. So, I will divide my code between a main sequence and various child sequences. Let's start with the initialization sequence. So, I need to send my actuators to their home positions, as well as set the speed of my system to 500 millimeters per second. For any instruction I am adding in my application, I can always click on the little question mark icon to open the tooltips and get prompted with some additional explanations and examples on how to use them. Now, let's move on to the actual motion instructions for my pick-and-place app. So I will create 4 sequences, each of them representing one step of my pick-and-place process. So I will create one sequence in order to send my actuators to the pick location in order to pick up the part. Another one for the inspection position, located right in front of my vision sensor. And then 2 others, one for the good parts bin and one for the bad parts bin. The part will be dropped in either bins according to the inspection result. Now, this means that I actually need a variable in order to represent the result of the part inspection. So I will simply add it to my application, and its value will depend on the output of the vision system. And with all of that set up, I'm ready to bring these sequences together to build the actual logic of my pick-and-place app. So here is what it looks like. First, I will wait for the through-beam sensor to be triggered when detecting a new part. Then, I will send my actuators to the pick location, then to the inspection location, and then wait for the inspection result and drop the part in the appropriate bin. Now the last thing I need to do is to fill in my main sequence. So first, I will execute the initialization sequence, then the pick and place sequence we've just created. I could choose to do that a given number of times, or even while a certain condition is met. But for now, I just want my machine to keep running indefinitely. So there you go. In a few simple steps, I have created a very simple pick-and-place application. This is ready for simulation. I can click on the play button. With everything simulating perfectly, let me grab my USB key, download my program, and I could execute it on a real-life machine. So let's say that I am on the shop floor and that this very machine has been fully assembled. Let me power on my Machine Motion V2 controller and take the Teach pendant. So the first thing you will see when booting your machine is the control center as your home screen. From there, you can access machine logic, upload your program, and run it. Now, right by my machine, I can proceed with the final adjustments. And there you go. This is as simple as it can be, moving from the cloud to the shop floor. Now, we all know commissioning can be a little bit more complex than this. This is why we have included a manual jogger in our control center as well. It allows you to move each of your actuators and control each of your IOs individually so that you can confirm that everything has been properly wired, properly set up, and it just gives you the peace of mind to fully deploy your application. Once you're satisfied with your application, you can operate it on a day-to-day basis from our application launcher, which is the name we give to our operator interface. From there, you can launch and monitor the execution of your application without the risk of changing a single instruction of it. Today, I have one last surprise for you. I know that some of you are experts and would prefer to develop in a more traditional development environment. This is why we have included Cloud9 in our Machine Motion controller. Simply plug in your computer into the Ethernet port of the controller and open Google Chrome. From the Cloud9 development environment, you can have full access to our Linux-based OS, as well as program using our JavaScript and Python libraries with the full programming guide available on the Vention website. With all of that in mind, I hope that you can now see that machine logic is becoming quite powerful while always keeping simplicity in mind. Now, to summarize everything you've seen so far, let us showcase what happens when all of these tools come together. Let me welcome our next speaker, Justin, mechanical designer, for some wicked good application demonstration.
In this final segment starting, but that's like what we're gonna do at like 9 after we move to machine apps. Yeah. In this final segment, we'll bring it all together. So with that, I'm super excited to announce the official launch of Machine Apps. Machine Apps are purpose-built programs with a convenient user interface that are entirely hardware agnostic. Machine Apps run directly on your Machine Motion and make the deployment of your equipment entirely plug and play from setup all the way to operation. The first Machine App I'd like to introduce is Machine Logic for Universal Robots. Where it differentiates from our native machine logic, what Ray just introduced, is that it runs directly on a UR E-Series controller as a UR cap. The beauty of this application is that it enables a UR robot to become the centerpiece of any robot cell, controlling all kinds of Vention peripherals such as a belt conveyor, a 7th axis, a pneumatic system, and much more. To some extent, this is really just a super UR cap. And just like you're used to with a Vention application, we embedded a jogger directly into the UR interface to test each actuator individually during commissioning. I'm excited to show you this demo. I've created a sequence here that will feed a box along this conveyor belt and then be staged in place using a pneumatic actuator. The robot will then pick up the box using a pneumatic gripper and move along the range extender, dropping the box in my hand. I'm going to put the box back and it will bring back the box to the start of the conveyor. All of this can be programmed in approximately 15 minutes directly from the UR pendant without writing a single line of code. So let's take a look. So as you can see, by pairing UR and Vention together, you can create some really intricate sequences. Let's see what else we've been working on. The second machine app I'm going to present today and our last product of this year's inaugural demo day is Machine App for Cartesian Palletizer. This particular machine app leverages Vention's growing network of plug-and-play industrial automation components and now software to create an end-to-end solution that is available out of the box. It adds box palletizing to your existing end-of-line conveyor, reducing repetitive, low-value work. The entire solution can be deployed in as little as 40 hours from design all the way to deployment. And because the transition to a complete palletizing solution is so quick, your return on investment is well below a year. With Vention's modular ecosystem, you also have the flexibility of customizing your palletizer configuration to suit your specific application. You can choose between a single or double pallet configuration, the type of in-feed system like a belt or roller conveyor, the type of safety system, which can include things such as light curtains, e-stops, and panels, and you can choose from a wide variety of end effectors. On the software side, the Palletizer Machine app comes preloaded on the machine motion controller and can be accessed from either a computer or Vention's pendant. Creating a palletizing sequence is really quick and intuitive, taking roughly 5 minutes from start to finish. Throughout the setup, you'll define parameters such as pallet dimension and position, box size, box orientation, as well as pick point position. You can also create different layer configurations within the same program by simply dragging and dropping boxes onto a virtual pallet. Once you press play, you will also receive real-time information such as the status of the process, progress notifications, and even a live graphical representation of the palletizer in the works. Let's press start and watch this beast in action. And with that last box being palletized, that about wraps up our machine apps demonstration.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I really hope that you had as much fun watching Demo Day as we had fun creating it. It's our sincere hope that manufacturing automation platform will become one of the most valuable tools in your engineering toolbox, that it will create tremendous value for you, but also for the factory you take care of. On the behalf of myself and the entire team at Vention, thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to see what you're going to automate next.